Moving on to our next segment, we're talking about the 5 best young cores in the NBA. And we're going to start off from number 5. We've got the Sacramento Kings. They are a fun squad here. We just saw them lose, however, last night to the Timberwolves. And we think a big reason why they're being held back right now is their coaching with Luke Walton. So once that's out, I think you'll really see this young core even flourish more, because Tyrese Halliburton is a fun young guard who knows what he's doing on offense, can get a deep three. De'Aaron Fox is one of the fastest players in the league and can get mid-range buckets pretty much whenever he wants. And they've also got guys like Rashawn Holmes and Davion Mitchell, who look really promising. And those were all draft picks by the Sacramento Kings besides Rashawn Holmes. And it's been pretty rare, I feel like, for Kings to be hitting on draft picks this often. So lots to be excited about. And, it might pay off in a playoff experience here soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's a team like at this point, like I'd love to see them succeed. I mean, all those players, they're not like fan killers. Like when they succeed, you're like, oh yeah. You're not like, oh well, here they go. Like they're not a villain yet. So they're like up and coming. They're the rootable underdog. So I love De'Aaron Fox. I've said he's one of the most underrated, if not the most underrated player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like you said, Mitchell, Halliburton. I think Mitchell and Halliburton, they both have things, obviously a lot more out of Mitchell that we need to see. Halliburton, I just want to see him be more aggressive, man. Like he's very much a pass first guy right now. And I'd like to see him just say, fuck it, and just go out and be like, all right, screw like running and like trying to get everyone their touches. Like sometimes you just got to go out and score. And like, we know he's capable of it. He just I need to see more aggression out of him. He's a nice defender, which is super like complimentary next to De'Aaron Fox, who isn't the best defender. Obviously Davion Mitchell, that's like his high point right now, is he's just a lockdown guy. And Rashad Holmes fits their role nicely. Really what they're suffering from is, but I mean, Buddy Hield and Bagley, they're just not the right fit for this team. And I'd like to see them go out and find different pieces for them. So especially like Marvin Bagley, he's not a complete waste of time. It's just it just doesn't fit on this team anymore. So I'd like to see him find a place to play.
Yeah. He's not really worth giving minutes to on this roster anymore. Outside of a bench role. And if that's the case, it's like, yeah, might as well give him a new situation, because you spent such a high draft pick on him. At some point he's just going to walk. So you might as well get something for him in return.
Oh yeah, for sure. But that's the only thing holding this team, this young core back for me, is just the waste of talent, or just the not right fit. Not saying, don't get me wrong, Marvin Bagley is not the biggest prospect ever, but certainly there's some potential that can be pulled out of him, because he showed flashes of it. We've seen parts of it.
Sure.
It's just, he just needs a different situation, a right fit. He wasn't around. It's not the best shooting team or defense team, which he's not excel at. So.
Yeah. Regardless, looking at the positives with this Kings team, lots of talent at the guard position, and lots of speed here. And I think they've got a good potential to get over the top if they can just get a defensive-minded coach, possibly, or just a coach who knows what they're doing. So, moving on to number 4 on our list. We've got the Orlando Magic, who've got a couple of young, exciting players. Cole Anthony is just absolutely showing out this year, which obviously he was good last year as a rookie, but this is just another level, just taking a step up that we didn't expect him to. And they've got other guys that are still on the way back from injury, but spent a high draft pick on Jalen Suggs this year, and another high draft pick on Franz Wagner. And he's been awesome. So yeah, lots to be excited about with this young team.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the Magic community are kind of a little worried about Suggs. I'm not. I'm like, listen, he's shown enough. He's done enough. He's there defensively where we want him to be. But it's just offensively, we are hoping to see more from him. But I mean, he fits the timeline. It's not like he's a bust. He's still showing out. He's had a few 20-point games. He's still averaging like 12 points a game, like 5 assists. Like he's doing what we need him to do. Like just give him time. We have the time. We're its Magic team. But Franz Wagner, biggest surprise, period, out of that draft class so far. Obviously, when Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz back, Jonathan Isaac's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate when he comes back. Maybe not this year, but certainly with all that potential he's shown. and the way he affects the defense of the Magic when he's in.
Mhm.
It's that's there. Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, we're seeing nice things from both of them. They're both doing really well. So it's
Yeah.
just a lot of pieces, a lot of things that are like a lot of bright spots for this team that I'd like to see them develop more. Cole's great. We did our own video about just gushing about Cole Anthony and how great he is so far and how he's going to be a future superstar in this league. So give that a
Yep.
watch. But they're great. I can't say enough. I love the development. So it's a nice. I like where this rebuild is going. It's not like a wasted rebuild like they've had
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, no, I agree. This should go somewhere promising for them. They're committing to the rebuild. They've got tons of young talent. You're just going to see who emerges from that pool, and I think you're going to have an exciting team here soon. But moving on to number 3, we've got another exciting team, but full of lots of turmoil. The Boston Celtics. They've got the two best players probably out of like all the teams on this list potentially with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And, it's just, it doesn't get much better than that with those guys. But outside of them, they've got Robert Williams. He's a solid player. Marcus
Mhm.
Smart. He's not so much a young player anymore. I guess he's not 30 yet, but
Mhm.
definitely feels like at some point they need to decide if they really want to keep him or not. I mean, they might need to trade him, but
Yeah.
regardless, couple of solid players on this team. They've got Peyton Pritchard too, and a new head coach with Ime Udoka. And obviously, with it being Boston, they're so polarizing. Everybody's wants them to be good, or like the people in Boston at least are going to be critical if they're not. So where do you stand with these guys? As obviously there are 3 young core team.
Yeah.
We obviously think they're very good.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. These two are potentially the best on this list, best players on this list next to we've the ones we've talked about and the ones we're going to talk about. It's just what's holding them back is that primary playmaking. I mean, we've done our own review right before the season on how we think they were going to do. So, but they need to figure that out. I mean, they have a decent this young core is propelled by their 2 stars, Jaylen Brown, uh, Jason Tatum, superstars already in this league. It's just they have that effect of they just need a primary playmaker at point guard. That's because they've both shown that when they had Kyrie, when they had Kemba, like they did really feed off that, and that's what showed into their development to go where they get to where they need to be. And now we're seeing them struggle. Like one will have a good night, the other one will have a bad night, and then flip it. Like with a primary point guard, we've seen that they can both come out and be superstars on the same floor at the same time. So I think that's
Yeah.
where they need. And they were hoping Pritchard could turn into something like that. And he showed a lot of flash. He's like that playmaking shooting guy that can come off the bench, but he's struggled this year. Romeo Langford was drafted as a shooter and he just never took off where they needed him to. Robert Williams, though, I mean, he's one of our favorite on this channel. Like you and I love everything we see out of that guy. If he could just gain a respectable shot, I think he would be by far like a great candidate just to be on a starting center on a championship team with the right people around him, because he's great at defense. He can, unlike many of the centers in this league, he can guard perimeter just fine. He's actually surprisingly can block a lot of 3-point shots just because the way he can close out. So he's one of our favorites on this, and I can't wait to see
Yeah.
him develop more. And he's got that starting spot, and now he's just excelling. He's doing great.
Yeah, he's a high energy guy, tons of fun to watch, and just eats up on the boards, especially offensively. And my biggest thing with this Boston Celtics team is that Jason Tatum just needs to be better. He's been pretty terrible this year in terms of efficiency. Like, that's just really what it comes down to. Jaylen Brown has had a couple of off games as well, and really both of them don't facilitate at all. So it's just ISO ball. You take your turn, I take my turn.
Yeah.
And you could argue, maybe we need to break it up at some point then, but it's also like, they're both really fucking good too. And they can probably figure it out. They just need to be better team players. And I think they can figure it out. So only time will tell on that one.
Yeah. They've shown that they can figure it out because they've had point guards that have taken them pretty far in the playoffs. It's just not good enough around them. And I think they have the team. They just need that point guard. I don't think that means trading Marcus Smart, but if you have to trade Marcus Smart to get that point guard. I
Probably
think
do.
that's not the worst thing because he's not it. However, he brings a lot of veteran defense, and he's a good playmaker as it stands. But um, he's just not the playmaker for them. He's not that veteran point guard that they need, like a Kyle Lowry or
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, everyone could say
Or
Kyle
even like
Lowry
a
all the time.
Mike
Mike Conley
Conley.
would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. But let's get to our next one. Number 2, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. We just talked a bit about their best player in John Morant, obviously with 26 points per game, shooting 38% from three. This guy's awesome. They've also got Jaren Jackson Jr., who can shoot a nice three ball and plays good defense. They've got Desmond Bane, who stepped up this year as a starter and looks really solid, shooting, I think still around 40% from three.
Mhm.
And moving forward, this is a team that's only going to get better. Zaire Williams is a project, and he might be a project that turns into a big blooming flower for them. You never know. This team could be full of excitement in the next few years, and maybe even make it to an NBA Finals, say 3-4 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, what the thing about them is that not only do they have players that are great now, like Jaren Jackson Jr. he's good now. We know he can be better. I don't know if he can be like a superstar type, but the defense he plays, the shooting ball, I mean, that's just fine. Ja Morant's there. He's here. He's arrived. He's playing like a top 3 point guard in the league. Then of course we have Dylan Brooks, who's a great wing scorer. We have Desmond Bane, great wing shooter. Even Kyle Anderson, he's been fine. I think he's like 26, 27, 25. But he's still, he can come out and he can give you a 20 in a night, play adequate defense. And Brandon Clark, he hasn't gotten that many minutes. He's just kind of having an off year, but he's a great six man when he comes out and he plays with all that effort. He's awesome. And good defense too. Great from him. So you have all this talent from like wings to guards. It's just they might be now they're in that position of the rebuild that they've developed all these guys where they have to find another star, and some of these guys could like benefit from a new place, like Kyle Anderson and Dylan Brooks, maybe even Brandon Clark. If he keeps to have these struggles, maybe he'll benefit with a different place. And I think Grizzlies know that they're definitely buyers going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're definitely buyers. I mean, they can potentially add a star to this team that's more established than some of the young talent. I think that's going to be really great for them. If one can become available at some point. So we'll see what happens there. But regardless, what they got them to the playoffs last year, and it might do it again this year with even less talent potentially on paper. Because Valanciunas was great for them last year, at least offensively, and he would have been still really good for them this year. But they wanted to get younger and not lock him up.
And they're definitely feeling that without a star center. I'd like to see them go out and get a star center or better, or just some elite defenders to toss around, some 3-and-D guys. I think that's really what they need to bring into this team is defense and just a really nice big. I mean, Jaren Jackson's good, but he's just not good at rebounding. And I don't think that's nice for them going forward. You need to have a nice rebounder in there. Got to gobble up them boards.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's get to our number 1 team here, full of guys who are gobbling up boards with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are awesome. Unfortunately, Evan Mobley is injured for a couple weeks now, but he has been the best rookie possibly this year. He's been awesome. And then Jarrett Allen has been great. And we've also got Colin Sexton, who unfortunately is injured, but he's still an awesome player at his young age. And Darius Garland showing out potentially even better than Colin Sexton in a lot of people's eyes. So this is a team that a lot of people are excited about all of a sudden, where Cleveland usually is just like, the dungeon for players and
the place where
going to die
played.
there. Yeah, it's just the place where LeBron played. But otherwise it's where careers going to die. But not anymore, man. It'd be awesome to see them succeed without LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, people they definitely have a great young core. Darius Garland just keeps getting better every year. Playmaking's getting more crisp. It's getting better. We saw all this in our young core rebuild recently, but Evan Mobley, great defense, especially for a rookie coming out like this. I mean, he's my second rookie of the year, but he's coming out and he's showing up. Jared Allen's doing everything he can. I mean, they have a 7-foot starting three,
Yeah.
Lauri Markkanen's awesome. I mean, Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton, they can come out and score you 20. They're just a little more inconsistent. Colin Sexton inconsistent on the defensive side, and sometimes he has a bad shooting night, but he's, like you said, he's injured and they're feeling that. Maybe he's not the best fit, but they've arrived. Like, they're number one because they have this nice young core and they're getting better. They've shown the improvement. They've shown they can get wins, and that's more important than just having a bunch of young talent. So they've shown that they're ready to make these moves. They're ahead of their schedule. They've got all the talent in the world. They just have to develop a little bit more and move forward. Super excited to see them.
Yeah, no doubt. And they got a guy like Isaac Okoro who could turn into something special, maybe as a good defender at the 3. So they've been stockpiling picks for years, hoping that one of them could become a star one of these days. And they found that in Evan Mobley. They've already got the solid supporting cast around him. And it's just like, how great is that? Usually in the NBA, that's not how it works. Usually you get the star player and then you struggle to find help for him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's what a lot of teams usually end up doing. They're like, well, now all of a sudden we couldn't find him help. Now he's requesting a trade. It's like Evan Mobley, he won't ever request a trade because he'll make the playoffs a bunch of times in his early years because they got him help before he even got there himself.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you draft a great, I think Darius Garland's an all-star caliber, or will turn into an all-star caliber, like much like the role Kyle Lowry plays, maybe not so much on defense, but more on shooting. But like the same type of impact, different skill set, but the same type of impact Kyle Lowry has always been. He's never been a superstar, but he's always been just a great piece to have. He's been a multi-time all-star. I think Darius Garland will fit that, and Evan Mobley. Like, I'm just saying, like, how often do you draft a star big and a star guard at the same time, right? Like Penny, Shaq. Like, that was the last.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's ideal. I mean, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And, these are a couple of guys that they can pair up for their whole careers, hopefully.
Yeah. I hope they like each other because they're going to play a long time together.
That's true. Well, that's exciting. 5 young cores, best young cores in the NBA. Hope you guys tune into our in-depth videos for each team that we had in previous weeks.